the penultimate day of cello playing. And are you ready for school to be out? You're ready for no more school. I think I'm ready for no more school too. Although it hasn't really felt like school. Let's get tuned. And I'll show one easy topic and one advanced topic. And now D. And now G. And now C. Now over this time we've talked about on Monday we talked about plucking and then using the bow and horsehair, but we didn't really get to a couple of techniques, and I'd like to sort of work with you on techniques and style within the bow. Okay, now the most obvious way to play the bow is to bounce it because it's bouncy. Okay, and this is called battuto, which literally means struck. And the best struck sound happens out towards the tip of the bow. Okay, so we have this struck aspect of the bow because it wants to bounce. Now let's go to the middle of the bow and let's see how that's different. Okay, and then let's go to the balance point of the bow and let's see how that's different. Notice how it's a little bit more, it's harder to bounce, but it is also a little bit more sound. Okay, next, hi there Ivan, nice to see you in there. Hey, the next part is, what if we try and bounce it right next to the frog? Now what happens here is that it doesn't really bounce on its own, our arm has to do it. Compare that to out here again. Okay, now that is the easiest way to play the bow, is just to take it and let it drop down. And so let's try doing one drop and speed up, single drops. And you'll notice that as I get faster, I'm not going to get too much faster than this, that it's my forearm that's doing the work. So my arm is kind of going like this. Okay? Now I'm going to go just a little faster. Oops. And I lose track of it right about there, out here at this end of the bow. To have more control, we need to go somewhat into the middle of the bow. And then suddenly the bow bounces much more predictably. And this is what we call spiccato. From battuto, which is often accompanied by colegno. Battuto is struck and colegno is with the wood. Oh, let's try that a little bit. So what you do is you turn the bow backwards so that it strikes down on the stick first. And it's got notes as well. But as you'll notice that it sort of also plays the harmonic. Okay. Now back to the hair part. There is a Battuto Arco, which is this, and you'll sometimes see that. Composers such as Respighi and Stravinsky make that distinction. Oftentimes, composers think, oh, Battuto means col legno, with the stick, but that's not true. And there is this idea that col legno is only Battuto, and that is also untrue, because there is a col legno tratto, which is that you use the stick and you pull the sound along this way. Let's all try this. So I'm actually just pulling as if I'm using the bow, but I'm just using the stick, and it makes kind of a wispy kind of sound. This is col legno with the wood, tratto, sideways across. Okay, col legno battuto, col legno tratto. Okay, so I recently had this actually in a concert in November. It was a new piece of music, and they had col legno. It said col legno, but it was a very specific rhythm, and we all had to get like sextuplets da 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 against septuplets da 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 da, and one person had to do sevens, one other person had to do sixes, another person had to do fives da 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 da. So if you have those together in what's called a polyrhythm, then what happens of one person going 5 per beat, another person going 6 per beat, and another person going 7 per beat? What we said was, oh, well, if it's col legno, it must be tratto. And so we practiced it like that. And when the composer came, he said, oh, what's going on? I can't hear you. And we said, well, you want the polyrhythm, or do you want us to just go? And that's what he wanted. So he wanted random rhythms instead of something that was specific, 5 against 6 against 7. Okay. If you ever have the chance, put a couple of different metronomes together. Like if you have a couple of iPads or a couple of whatever you're using, phones, and set them to tempos that are very close to each other. Say 80, 81, 82, 83, and then play them all. And what happens is they converge across each other, and there is this tempo change, this sort of like mixture. Anyway, that's what he was looking for, and what happened was it just kind of sounded like a bunch of noise. In fact, let's all do that as fast as we can on open strings, and it'll sound like, which is fine. You can ask for that, right? You can totally make that as music. It's kind of fun, actually. Okay. Now, the next part of this is we're going back to the bow, and we're bouncing the bow. And this is called spiccato, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm letting the bow bounce in a very sort of calculated way. It's got about the same amount of weight on each side, and it's bouncing like this very evenly. And I can make more of a U feel to it and make it a little bit wetter. And I can make more of a V and make it a little bit more dry. Okay, so that the bounce doesn't get me as far. But sometimes we want that wider sound, and sometimes we want the drier sound. Okay? Next, if I'm doing it slowly like this, it's generally most comfortable right here, close to the frog, inside of the balance point. See how that works? And this is the bow hold that I find I need to reset the most. Like, this is the one that slips the most out of all my bow holds. This is the one where there's a lot of pressure put on the pinky and it slips out, and I just need to reset it a lot more. But I use the bounce to reset my hand. But sometimes I'm resetting my bow hold about every 3 or 4 times that I'm playing it. See that? that each time I'm lifting my fingers, I'm sort of resetting my bow hold. And that's one of the things about bow holds is that they're always sort of flexible. A good bow hold is one that will, where your hand can, where it'll just about be falling out of your hand, and it will reset, and it will like slip a little bit, and then you just kind of find it back again. And so what you do is you get used to a middle range of bow holds. Sometimes you want to be pressed down a little bit more. Sometimes you want to be a little bit more like in the bow, you know, a little flatter. Sometimes you're thinking above, okay? And it's that flexibility of a range of bow hold approaches, okay? So I don't want you to be limited in any way regarding that. The main working method that I look for is to have the fingers flexible so that I can use the bow with this part of my hand and with this part of my hand and with this part of my hand. Okay, so you want that kind of freedom. Okay, the next one is the next easiest bow is sort of like what we think of as normal cello playing, and that is called détaché. Okay, détaché is a French word. We're moving out of the Italian words like battuto col legno, which is with the wood, col legno, and we're moving into some French terms, which is détaché. Détaché sounds like detached, right? And so you'd think that there would be space between the notes, but détaché is the sound where you connect it completely all the way across. And it's just like you're spreading Nutella on the bread. You don't want any thin spots. You might want some thick spots, but you don't necessarily want any thin spots. And you use the whole bow, or can. Now I think that détaché exists because it came along with the French bow, which allowed us to have a very even sound all the way across the bow length. All right, so that is what's called a détaché. Okay. Now we also have a martier. Martier is like martial, like a military march. Okay, is martier. It means struck. Okay, and the Italian version of that is marcato. Okay, which is marked. Sorry, martier is not struck. It's I want to say attacked. It's this kind of a sound. So what I'm doing here, in order to get this sound, what I'm doing is I'm putting a lot of pressure on, and I'm sort of pulling on the string. I'm pulling back the string in a way like a bow and arrow, and then I'm releasing it. And the same thing happens with an up bow. I grab the string and I pull it back a little bit. I'm pushing it this way, pushing and release. Okay, I'm going to try this again as a down bow. Grab the string and martier or marcato is the kind of sound where it has a k on the beginning of every sound. It's the big crunchy sound, and this is something we want sometimes. And now up bow, and now down bow, and now up bow, and down bow, and up bow, and down bow. And oftentimes, in order to make the martier sound like a martier, like sound like it's very struck, we create a decay in the sound. Okay, and I'm letting the note after the original attack. Okay, and then there's going to be a decay down, and that decay is going to have sort of a small sustain. If you ever get into electronic music, there's what's called an attack, which is the beginning of the note. The delay, which is that from that into a normal sound. The sustain part, and then what's called the release. Whoa. Okay, and we create those kinds of shapes in electronic music to make it sound like that. When you hear a synthesizer, whoa, 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 that is a specific kind of attack, delay, sustain, and release of the sound. And so we can think of our cellos as having that as well. A martellier with a strong attack, a very quick delay, and a sustain that goes down into a sustain that's very short going into a long release. Ready? And. So we're getting the first part of the note, and then we're letting the sound go right away. This is often, as it gets faster, you might replicate this because of the resonance of the instrument. You might replicate this by playing a little bit off the string in a martellier. So the bounds of martellier going into staccato become somewhat blurred. When is it staccato and spiccato? And when is it martellier? Hear the difference? So let's try that. Let's go spiccato, and it's a staccato sound. Okay, that's a spiccato off the string. Here is staccato on the string. Okay, and here is martellier where we go, or marcato. And each time I'm making a big sound like that. No, I've got to turn off my phone. Hold on just a second. This is called bad TV. Oh. Hi, everybody. So that was the blood people. I am giving blood tomorrow, and they're reminding me. So there we go. All right. So next, in the grand pantheon of sounds. Then you can make anywhere in the string a different kind, you can apply any of those bowing techniques to any part of the string. For instance, you can have a détaché ponticello. You can have a détaché con legno tratto. You can have a ponticello, a ponticello con legno battuto, which makes the higher pitches. You can have a spiccato with a ponticello, and in a normale, and in a sul tasto. Okay, so that you have that kind of power over your bow. Okay. Okay, that was the easy one that I wanted to cover today. Okay, so you can try out all the bows. Now what I'd like to do is a chromatic scale. Now this is all the notes in in between an octave, say, or anywhere on an instrument. And in cello, if it's in the mid-range, low to mid-range, we have a pattern for this. If you've ever seen a note go D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, if you've seen those notes, it's called chromatic, and it sounds like this. What I'm doing is I'm having a very distinct pattern wherein I play an open string, then I go into half position, I play a 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3, and then I play open. And then I do on the next string, open, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, open, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, open, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's try that. We'll do it real slow, okay? And just like we're doing a scale. you know, back in the olden days. All right, so we're going to start on this low C. And now let's go to C sharp, first finger, D second finger, D sharp third finger, E first finger, F second finger, F sharp third finger, G open, G sharp 1, A 2, B flat we'll call it 3, B natural 1, C 2, C sharp 3, open D. First finger E flat, second finger E natural, third finger F natural, first finger F sharp, second finger G, third finger G sharp, open E, A, B flat, first finger, B natural, second finger, C natural, third finger, C sharp, first finger, D, second finger, generally E flat, third finger, and then let's go up to fourth position and do a chromatic up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Third finger and fourth finger. Now let's come back down. 4, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, open, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, open, 3. Let's go into what looks like second position. So put your first finger on a B, which will be your second tape if you got tapes, and then the second finger will be on your upper tape, your fourth finger tape. Okay, and let's play third finger above that, C sharp, 2, C, B1, 3, B flat, A flat, open, then 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, and open. And so it looks like this. Anybody want to play with me this fast? Bum, 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 bum. Here we go. 1, 2. Here we go. Open. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Open. 1, 2, 3. Open. 1, 2, 3. Open. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Open. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, open, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, open, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, open, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, open. And this happens like a lot in like concertos and different kinds of solo pieces. Once you get above about, let's say the equivalent of book 6 or so in Suzuki, or book 5 in the solos for young artists, you'll find that there's music with chromatic scales in it. And the most famous one is the Sandstone cello concerto, which goes. It's got this really cool chromatic scale where it just goes like crazy. Okay, and that's where is that? It's in the second page. I'd have to look it up, but notice that my pattern was just merely faster. two can play just that fast. Oh, hi, puppy. Okay. Do you have any questions about cello and playing and stuff like that? What what's making you wonder? Or do you have any questions about today's work?
I have a question.
Aha! Yes.
Uh, I think it was yesterday. Did you mention that one of these weeks will be the last week of practice?
Tomorrow is the last day of practice. If you want more time with me, sign up for lessons. I'm going to take the summer off. Are you out of school officially yet? Or do you have another week? You are officially out of school? Okay. The Puget Sound area kids, of which we're largely, it's the majority of the students here, finish on the 18th of June. Crazy, huh? Last year, I think we finished on, what was that, the 26th of June? That was crazy time, right? It was just like, okay, now you're off for school, and here's 4th of July. But you're out of school right now, right, Ivan? Okay, yeah. Bring snacks for tomorrow, and we'll play a little. I'll show off a few little things, play a few little things for you, and I think I may have ice cream for breakfast myself. I think that you also should have some kind of a fun treat, some kind of special breakfast for working through this fabulous 13 weeks of awesomeness in cello stuff. And yeah, that's a good question. Tomorrow is the last day. So, what other kinds of things do you imagine, like, or are you wondering about? Are you wondering about like careers or how you might get ready for the next audition for the fall? Seems like school is going to be in session at this point. What kinds of things are you thinking about? Do you have a good orchestra that you'll be going back to, and a very, in a supportive area, a supportive place to go to? For instance, I know some of you are in excellent programs like Ellie and let's see here, Safira, in a great program. Cole have are at great middle schools. How about you, Skylar? Do you have a good orchestra over there?
I really enjoy my orchestra class. I really like my orchestra teacher too. He's nice and funny.
Oh, that's good.
Um, yeah. But I think it's good.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Thanks for letting me put you on the spot there like that. How about you, Barbara? How's your orchestra class? Oh, we got to get you into. Yeah, how's that working?
Well, I'm hoping there'll be an orchestra for me. How do you think the orchestra setup will be when the
Ooh, orchestra setup. I have a feeling that the limiting factor, the saying among orchestra people is that the big respirators, the people who put out a lot of air, are the ones that really need to be socially distanced. So those people are the woodwinds, and specifically the flutes. Like they blow a lot of air out. And so we may see a situation where the woodwind section might have to be in a different location than the other instruments. The socially distant instruments are the percussion section. They always have to stand far apart, and they're sitting in the back. The string section, I think the jury's still out because we generally sit together and we touch a lot of the same stuff. We share a stand. Those of you who are in an orchestra might share a stand with someone. And if you're both touching the pencil, that might be a little tricky, from a safety standpoint. So we may move to a situation where we have to turn our own pages, but then everybody has to turn their pages at the same time. And that's one of the little tricks that string players have had, is that one person can keep playing while the other person turns the page. And that is another tricky thing. Yeah. But I think that the real limiting factor isn't so much performers, but audiences, and getting a number of people into a place where they feel that they have a connection. Because usually, if you're I'm talking about in Benaroya Hall in the small hall, the Nordstrom Hall. Everyone has to sit together and everyone has to go down the same row. There's no middle row. So how are they going to enforce that everybody in the middle start early? Do you sit apart 2 meters? The seating is 400, so really at 25% capacity, you could really only fit maybe 90 people, 90 to 100 people in there, depending on actual logistics. And I don't know if that can work. I don't have a good answer for that. I don't think it's very fun to watch people perform on a computer on my iPad.
Well, and for the orchestra, there's so much more excitement and energy when you're performing in front of an audience. That'll be lost.
Yeah, and you've all felt that as players when you've had your school orchestra concerts or youth orchestra concerts where it's just like, whoa, and the whole audience claps and erupts and you play with your friends and you're smiling and you know the pieces. I don't think that there is a replacement for that. Yeah, so I don't know for the time being.
So for new orchestra members, they won't experience that thrill for a while.
I hope that we get to I hope that we can figure it out. I don't know how that'll work. Yeah, but I mean, it's fun hanging out with you all every morning. I love it. I totally love it, and I'm gonna miss it. But boy, going to a concert is great, you know, and sitting with people and talking about it afterwards, and going and getting a soda pop at the intermission or something. I mean, that's just super fun, you know. Or when they have the snacks out for the fundraiser, and you can buy a cookie or a brownie at the concerts. I mean, that is just like, and talk to people. That's really special. And I think that we'll get that back. I think that we'll figure out a way to make that happen because we're social, you know. From TikTok to Snapchat to Facebook, we want to be social regardless, you know. Yeah. Any more questions?
How do state finals work, or the state thing?
How do I what?
Talked about.
How do I what?
The state finals, or what? I don't remember what it's called, but you talked about.
Yeah, all-state orchestra, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that audition happens in about October of the year. Okay, and and then the all-state orchestra is in January, and that's going to be in Ellensburg. Okay, and so you actually get to stay over in Ellensburg, and they put you up, and you get to be in a hotel. Whether that actually happens, given coronavirus, sounds pretty iffy to me at this point. They even canceled. I was a judge this year for the state solo competition. For all the cellos, all the best cellos in Washington State. I was called on to be a judge, but they canceled state competition, and that was just the day program, you know. But there will be an audition. I think they're going to try something. Maybe they'll come up with a virtual orchestra to do it. And in which case, if you want, I'll send you the email. I'll send you the PDF. Email me or have your parents email me at bradhawkinsllc@gmail. Actually, no, hawkinsb@spu.edu. That's the one that you might have been using for a long time. hawkinsb@spu.edu. And I'll send you the PDF so you can actually practice it and get yourself ready to play for all-state orchestra. Wouldn't that be fun?
Is there an age, like, you have
I
to
think
be
it's ninth grade. So are you going into ninth grade?
No, I just wondered.
Darn! I was hoping that you might be old enough to do it. Yeah, I think it's high school because it's an overnight.
All right.
Yeah. Cool. Oh yes. So with that, I would like to show you a chord. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a G major chord with G, D, and B. First finger down, open G. Yeah, I'm going to do open G, open D, open B, or fingered B, first finger B. Okay, and then I'd like to go to a C major chord where I play C, G, first finger E, and second finger C. Okay, and let's play that one big chord, G, G, D, B, ready, and now let's set the fingers for C, G, C, and E, and now let's speed it up, ready, and G, and C, and G, and C, and G, and C. Hey, and that is what we might say, that's all, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll have a fabulous and wonderful party. I'll play a few things for you. I'll even take requests and bring some snacks. You can also bring your cello if you want, but I think it'll just be more of a party and more of a celebratory party. Okay, take care, everybody. Bye.